Voice, distinction amongst words. Voice is everything. Characters and authors' voices have different styles and distinctions, which makes them unique and recognizable. Elements of creative writing by Janet Burroway highlights things such as diction, which is the combination of vocabulary and syntax, persona, and point of view as major contributors to what makes up an author character's voice. Let's see. A quote by Jan Whitehead from Elements of Creative Writing says, "We can only talk about ourselves in the language we have available. If that language is rich, it illuminates us. But if it is narrow or restricted, it represses and conceals us." I feel this is important because she highlights how powerful voice is and how it can give readers an emotional response, which connects a person's interest. In poetry and fiction, which are the elements I chose to analyze, voice is still everything. Voice contributes to these genres greatly, and is what gives them substance. If all poetry and fiction pieces had the same point of view, the same syntax, the same vocabulary and persona, they wouldn't be unique and enjoyable for others. In the poem Ode to American English by Barbara Hamby, she illustrates how important voice is in poetry. The section on the screen says, "I have went, I have saw, I have taken Jesus into my heart, the battle cry of the Bible Belt. But no one uses the King James anymore, only plain speak versions in which Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead says, 'Dude, wake up.'" So, "do wake up" is a drastic comparison of the modern American language and the Old English language. And it's her way of showing how the King James Version and plainer versions of the Bible differ. Though I've never seen "do wake up" before in the Bible. I highlighted this passage because in these few words, her vocabulary creates a relatable message to the overall theme of the poem, which is about the American language. The next poem I chose to look at was Anti-Elegy. Elegy, I forgot how to say that word. But it's by Dr. Cameron Boyd, someone we've talked about earlier this year. A segment of the poem is on the screen. If you recall, this piece is about the loss of members from the LGBTQ+ community from acts of violence. His choice of words in the first half of the piece are mostly short phrases such as 33, bullet, 35, bullet, 20, bullet. These short repeated phrases aggressively emphasize the idea of loss, that loss not being as emphasized as it should. His syntax and short vocabulary makes up his voice in the poem, which made it an interesting read. And I chose the image because the body on the ground, with the shrubbery growing around it, fit in with the forgotten loss that was voiced in the poem. The first fictional piece I chose to analyze was Bullet to the Brain by Tobias Wolff. It shows how important voice is to fiction. He shows how important voice is to fiction with his use of persona and vocabulary. The story, a character named Anders and others are being held up in a bank by two bank robbers. And Anders is trying not to be problematic, but ends up doing so anyway. And this is where the highlighted portion comes in. Wolff writes, "Fuck with me again, your history, capiche?" These words instantly made me think of the violent Goodfellas characters because of the vocabulary used. And by using these words, Wolff gave the bank robbers an aggressive persona, which contributed to the robber's strong voice and also helped to foreshadow Anders being shot. Poor kid. The last piece of fiction I looked at was George Saunders' Victory Lap. In the story, kidnapping is happening, and the highlighted portion, the portion I threw up here, the thing that stuck out to me was how the vocabulary can make an individual voice distinct and give it an emotional impact. And I feel that the character who he was speaking to the child, I feel like that character had like strong emotions behind his voice because of how Saunders put the words together. It says, "Calm your heart, darling. I know you're scared because you don't know me yet and didn't expect to stay. But give me a chance and you'll see me fly. See, I'm putting the knife right over here, and I don't expect to have to use it, right?" Words help to develop a dark yet unique narrative for the kidnapper. And just overall, it just puts the words are just more of like a dark tone. Like when it starts off, he had the speech down cold. It just gets in the mindset of just the darkness, which was the overall voice that he was giving to this character at the time. I think voice is an important element of creative writing, especially in poetry and fiction, because it makes authors and their characters unique, and without it, stories would be too bland, kind of like the screen or a Popeye's biscuit if you catch